Hi everyone, welcome to Adventures with Raven and Rowley. I'm Raven and this is Rowley. Last week I asked, is it legal to live in an RV? In this week's video I ask, what is your fear of getting on the road? Learn about my fears. If you're curious, please continue to watch. I thought about what I was worrying about when I first got on the road in September of 2017. I asked myself again, because I'm going solo this time. There are things like fear, murder, or death. Suppose I just die in the RV out in the middle of the desert or national park somewhere, by myself. Of course, we all die by ourselves. Suppose I get mugged, or even worse. Suppose somebody robs me, takes all of the stuff that's in the rig, or the rig itself. I mean, just hook it up and drag it off, and all of a sudden I find I have no place, What about injury or illness, like falling down? There's a link in the description below about how to get up off of the floor, MacGyver style, for those of you who know who MacGyver is. What to do if? Go down that rabbit hole of research and find out to solve the problem. What happens if, instead of just having it go circling around in your head, I had to stop and think. These are exactly the same fears of living anywhere. Every time you move, every time you get a new job, whatever, these are the same fears. You got to remember, things happen when they do, or if they do. I mean, worrying about them is not going to stop them from happening, and it doesn't mean that it will happen. Pay attention to your gut and do your due diligence. For instance, lately I've been feeling like I really need to lock my door. I generally, for the last 4 years, hadn't bothered one way or the other, But lately I feel like it's necessary for me to do that. So, I figure, well, I probably ought to take a self-defense course, so I'm going to do that. Do your due diligence. Know where the hospital is, how far away it is, if necessary. Make sure the people who care for you know where you are and when you're supposed to move and when you're supposed to arrive someplace, that kind of thing. What if something happens in the RV, to the RV? I mean, after all, an RV is an earthquake simulator. Buying a new RV doesn't guarantee that these things won't happen tomorrow, like, for instance, the water lines or the water pump issues or toilet issues or tire issues, like, you blow a tire. Roof and window issues, window breaks, roof leaks. User error. I'm fond of that one. What if a tree falls on it? What do you do then? What do you do when it happens, or if it happens? I mean, the chances are it's one of them. Something is going to happen. I mean, it's like that in any house or anywhere with any car. I had to remind myself that I had similar problems in a sticks and bricks house. I seem to talk about toilet issues a lot, but here's another toilet story, okay? We were sitting in the office, and it was pouring rain outside. I was living in New Hampshire at the time in the house, and it was pouring rain. And it was going on for hours and hours and hours, I kept saying things like, wow, boy, it's really raining a lot out there, So finally I got up, and I went to the slider and looked out over the porch, and it was bone dry. I said, where am I hearing water? I don't know. So I decided, let me go to the bathroom. In that house, my desk was here, the door to the bedroom was here, desk here, doors here, and on that wall was the opposite to the bathroom. So this is the bedroom, and that was the ensuite bathroom. So I decided, let me go to the bathroom. So I go in there, and I'm squishing in the carpet. And I go into the bathroom, and the cold water inlet to the toilet had disengaged, and there was another stream of water. I have this thing with these streams of water. God knows how long that had been pouring out there. So I said, oh my goodness, you know, we go to Home Depot and we get a shop vac and we're going to suck up the water. And then I realized this entire place is carpeted. This water is going to wick in every inch of this floor. So I called the insurance company. Ultimately, they ended up ripping out the floor to the bathroom, putting in a new subfloor and all of that kind of stuff, ripped up all of the carpet and everything in the bedroom, you know, trying to keep that water from wicking everywhere. Had these humongous fans, these things probably about 4 feet tall, making noise for 2 weeks in the house. Had to sleep in the living room on the recliner. Rowley, come on, quiet. Ultimately, the job ended up costing over $10,000 because that pipe had just let loose. The connection just let loose. Same thing, you know, in any house. That was a sticks and bricks house. You know, in order to get rid of these fears, to help get rid of these fears when you're starting out, try and well, I'm a destination-driven person, so my advice is plan ahead for your maiden voyage, but don't travel too far, you know, on your first trip or second trip or even third trip. Don't go too far away. Make reservations if you're going to stay at a campground or RV park. You just can't assume that you're going to arrive and there's going to be space for you. Make reservations. If they offer reservations, make them. Don't plan too far in advance on your trip. Don't plan to stop at 20 different places. You know, you're going to be out for a month and you're going to hit 20 different places. That's one place every other day, or every day and a quarter, something like that. You know, that's a lot of driving. Now, no real seeing, very much tiring. Stay full on gas and propane. And don't forget to check the weather. You'd be surprised. You know, even before you buy your RV, you might ask, are RVs a bad investment? Should I even bother? Well, it's kind of like a car. A new RV will cost a lot of money, and as soon as you drive it off the lot, half of it is gone. Half of the value is gone. I don't know if it's that far down for an RV, but it's down. It depreciates instantly as soon as you drive it off the lot. And you might also ask, do RVs break down a lot? Well, yes, they do, because they're a house and a vehicle. If you had a house and a vehicle and you averaged it in together, it'd be about the same, you know. So, and it also depends upon how it was kept. If somebody keeps it really nice and they're on top of repairs and all that kind of stuff, it almost never really breaks down. If they're on top of it, it's like getting your oil changed and you know, everything checked and tuned up and whatnot in your car. You got to be on top of it. If you're on top of it and you maintain it and keep the tire pressure up and all that kind of good stuff, chances of it breaking down are pretty slim. If you don't maintain it, it's going to break down. That's the way life is, huh? And you might also ask, comparing this to a house, how long do RVs last? Well, the average span of an RV is around 20 years. Or if you've got a motorhome, around 200,000 miles, whichever comes first. But that depends upon how well it was kept up. My RV is 22 years this year. It was 20 years old when I bought it. So you're going to ask then, is an old RV worth buying? An RV that has seen better days should raise a red flag. Now, when I bought this one, I should have seen all kinds of red flags, but I was in a strange position. I mean, I was homeless, actually, when I bought this. So it was a good deal. besides which I put down a deposit and they allowed me to pay it off little bit by little, which was cool. I paid it off. But it had water leaks. Well, when I saw it, it was dry, and I was thinking, oh, well, it's been repaired. But that really wasn't the case. What happened was that the hot water heater itself needed to be replaced. It was spewing water out the back. There was water connection behind the tub was broken. Water was spewing out the back. And there was a leak under the sink. Fortunately, that was a slow leak. But when I was feeling the floor getting soft near the steps on the inside, I was thinking it was the sink. It was the water under the sink, and it actually was the water underneath the bathtub that was causing that problem. And then when the edge of the slide kept getting wet, even though it was repaired under the sink and it was repaired behind the bathtub, I found out that the hot water heater itself had corroded and was spewing water out of the back. And then when I also bought this, the toilet line was stopped up. I had three attempts at cleaning that, fixing that problem. And the last one was a company that specializes in RV sewer systems. And they could not clear whatever it was that was blocked. And so they cleaned it out, pumped it out, and closed it off. It's capped it off, and I put in a composting toilet. The gray tank holds everything else, you know, the kitchen sink, the shower, that kind of stuff. And the other thing, also a very expensive thing, which I haven't had repaired yet, and may turn out to be not as expensive as I thought, is the slide doesn't work. Someone took out the battery, so I have to replace the battery. Someone also cut the electric lines to the hydraulic pump. Now, I've been looking at that on YouTube, and I've been looking at, we've got flies outside, and I've been looking at the schematics from the hydraulic company, and it looks like I might be able to put that back together myself. I need to put the battery in and find out even if the pump works. I don't know why that person cut the wires. Why would you do that? Was it worth buying? Yes, it was. Absolutely, it was worth it. It was in my price range. The roof doesn't leak. Everything else worked fine. The refrigerator, the air conditioner, the stove, the heater, everything else worked fine. So I think it was a steal, personally. You should also know about the 10-year rule if you plan to stay in RV parks. The 10-year rule, and this is something that should be minorly worried about only if you're staying in RV parks. You plan to stay in RV parks. The 10-year rule is a code that is enforced by many of the upscale RV parks around the country. The rule pretty much says that RVs older than 10 years old are too weathered, beaten, and ugly to be allowed in their park. And the rule is often enforced regardless of how beautiful, pristine the RV actually is. This rock park has a 15-year rule, but I was grandfathered in because the rig was already here in storage. So I ask you, what are your fears that are keeping you from moving forward into a mobile life? What are your worries? What keeps you from jumping forward? Okay? Let me know in the comments below. So far it looks like all of these worries can be overcome or prepared for. Well, he's doing okay. He's beginning to learn leave it, and is somewhat successful at that. Likes catching flies, which I'm very happy about, because yeah. Thanks for watching. If you've got questions I haven't answered, ask them in the comment section below. Please like and ring the bell and subscribe to Adventures with Raven and Rowley if you haven't already. Also, please share my videos. Your help is appreciated. See you next Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Stay safe, take care of you and yours, and blessed be.